Okay, anyone who's ever tried to catch a snapper knows that the fishery is slowly rebuilding, but it just isn't what it used to be, not like it was for our parents or our grandparents.
That's right. Catching anything requires a whole lot of patience and a whole lot of skill. So the big question is, why is that? Are there simply too many of us or too many recreational fishers?
Or is it the commercial trawl boats that are scooping up everything that moves, including fish that they don't want and they don't need? Michael Mora has been investigating.
The stark reality of waste from a commercial trawl net. These are New Zealand pictures, undersized snapper off the Napier coast.
What we have on our doorstep is very special, but it's not being treasured. All we've got to do is stop killing 40 to 50% of our juvenile fish.
A large proportion of fish caught by trawlers are too small. They have to be thrown back. And almost all of them will never swim again.
It's terrible. It doesn't have to happen.
Trawlers drag a net along the seafloor, hoovering up everything that's there. And as the fish are pulled along, they are crushed by the weight of other fish and by the force of the water.
You don't have to waste that fish. You don't have to kill that fish.
The bottom trawl is a familiar method of fishing for Eric Hikawai. He's been a commercial fisherman for more than 40 years.
Do you think most New Zealanders would be surprised by the amount of waste that's actually going on out there?
I don't think the average New Zealander knows what actually goes on.
Eric didn't give us these images, but he says he's seen damage like this many times before, on his own vessel and on others.
How often is it going on?
That happens all the time.
Does it happen every trip you make?
Yes.
The fishing ground out the front of Eric's place is part of what's called Snapper 1. It stretches from the Bay of Plenty's Cape Runaway right up Northland's east coast and is the most popular fishery in the country. It's a familiar place for tens of thousands of recreational fishers, including Scott McIndoe and Richard Baker, members of the advocacy group LegaSea. Richard and Scott are passionate about fishing.
That is a good size pan snapper.
But their way of fishing, not the commercial way.
What concerns you the most about the commercial fishing industry?
Their refusal to acknowledge how many small fish they've been killing for the last 40 years and the impact that that single trawl method has had on the productivity of the Gulf.
Richard Baker takes the utmost care when he's fishing. He uses big hooks to reduce the number of juveniles he catches. And for any he has to release, he handles them with a wet cloth so as not to damage them.
That's a very close to 30 centimetre snapper, but we'll send them back to grow a little bit bigger and give us a better fillet. What we'd like to see is the commercial sector doing a similar sort of thing.
But the commercial sector won't be doing that. Under new rules, 30 centimetres is now the minimum legal size for recreational anglers.
That would be 25 centimetres, wouldn't it, Scott?
The commercial fleet can still take fish as small as 25 centimetres.
Reality is it's legal for commercial to then harvest fish at that level and sell them to the public. So there's sort of a mixed standard there.
So which side is catching most? Well, it depends on who you ask, but the government says it's about 50-50, even though the commercial allocation is higher. Richard and Scott say what they do is sustainable, and they want trawlers shut out of all inshore areas in Snapper 1.
This is a renowned juvenile nursery for snapper, so why would you run trawl gear all the way through it?
But you talk about waste in the commercial sector, but surely
recreational fishermen are wasting a huge amount as well. We have no idea if that fish that you just put back over the side is going to survive or not.
We've got our part to do. All right, there's no question to that. And recreational fishers are on a steep learning curve, and that's part of what we're doing here. If you noted the size of the hooks that we're using, 7 and 8 bar O to minimise the bycatch of undersized fish, and then we do how we handle the fish, and yeah, we would love to see a rebuilt fishery.
He says rebuilt because many fisheries, including Snapper 1, were decimated back in the late 1970s and 80s. The excesses of the commercial trawl are plainly evident in these photos taken at a rubbish dump in Nelson. Snapper stocks have bounced back markedly since those days, but a government report last year said overfishing is still likely to be occurring in Snapper 1. So what does the commercial sector say about all this? Sanford Limited is the largest owner of commercial quota in the country. Its general manager of operations is Greg Johansson.
There's been a lot of misinformation out there, I think, and you know, the seafood industry itself has sort of listened to that and stepped up and said, well, you know, we've got to be more transparent. We've got to be more open with what we do at sea and how we do it. And we are a soft target. We're out of sight, we're out of mind, so people can make accusations, and the issue is how does industry then defend itself and prove that what we're doing is all correct and sustainable.
Mostly the commercial fishers are out of sight. So next we go out on a trawler to try and find out exactly what they do and what's being wasted.
Welcome back. The commercial fishing industry has introduced a bunch of new rules to try to put an end to what it says is basically misinformation and rumour. The main issue is what's being wasted by trawlers in the North Island's snapper fishery. So
they've put cameras on some of the boats. They're making GPS monitoring compulsory. And skippers must now record how many small snapper they catch. But is it working? And is it saving the fishery? Michael Morris has been trying to find out.
It's just after dawn and we're on the water off the coast of Great Barrier Island. This is in the heart of what's known as Snapper 1, New Zealand's most popular fishery.
Today we're out in the Colville Channel. There's a lot of fish around, especially coming this time of year. Fish stocks, snapper and that are starting to turn up.
For deckhand Geordie Paul and the rest of the Ana crew, it's their final day at sea for the week. The nets are set for the first haul of the day. They only need a few more tons of fish and the boat will be fully loaded.
Do you think the public perception is that commercial fishermen do catch too much?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but my own opinion is we're out doing a job. People love to eat fish and we're providing a service.
The first net doesn't bring much in, but that's because we've only had it in the water for 20 minutes. By law, snapper measuring less than 25 centimetres must be returned to the sea, but most will go back dead after being crushed during the tow. Bycatch, like these pufferfish, also go over the side. They are delicacies in Japan, where a feed of puffer can set you back $60, but it's not wanted here.
Is it upsetting to see that amount of fish go over the side dead?
At the end of the day, it's a bit of a shame, but there's always going to be fish going back dead. Doesn't matter whether you're commercial or recreation.
The next tow, or shot as it's called, has lasted longer, though not that long. A typical shot can last anything up to 2 hours. We've been dragging the net for only about an hour.
Okay, what's your feet?
As expected, it's a much bigger haul. Deckhand Geordie and Matt get to work sorting the catch. There are undersized John Dory and kingfish, and more undersized snapper. But it's not all bad news. The industry is trying to clean up its act. Now, for the first time, estimates of the amount of small snapper being thrown back are being recorded. It's only happening in this area though, Snapper 1. And that's not all. The plan is to have CCTV monitoring or observer coverage on all Snapper 1 trawlers by October next year. The cameras on this boat verify what's being caught and that the vessel moves if it's catching too many small fish.
And so in that last shot, how many undersized did we put back, at a guess?
At a guess, we've put back about 10 kilos.
10 kilos isn't a huge amount considering we pulled up a 450 kilo net of fish. But when studying the catch report from previous days, it's clear the amount varies a lot.
Was that a bad day?
Yeah, it's a bad one.
So out of 70 trays, there's 100 kilos that had to go back.
Yeah.
So if the industry's documenting the waste, how big a problem is it?
What it is as an industry over an annual basis, we won't know until about Christmas time or early January
But
next
you've
year.
been involved in the industry for years, you must have a bit of an idea of how much undersized is being caught on your boats.
But the undersized snapper, there's never been a requirement to record it. So what we've said is we've listened to what the public said, and we've said we're going to start recording it, we're going to get that data.
But Eric Hikawai, who's skippered boats for Sanford in the past, says every skipper knows how much is being thrown back dead.
Quite easily, every shot, 10 to 15 bins of undersized fish.
And how much do those bins weigh?
Anything between 12 and 15 kilos.
And there are estimates even higher than that, where the ratio of legal to undersized catch is 50-50. Confidential minutes from an inshore fisheries meeting last year say a commercial fleet manager noticed during one trip that trawl shots with standard gear were catching as many undersized snapper as legal by number.
The New Zealand seafood industry want to do things better.
But the commercial sector says it is trying to improve. It's even developing a new type of net called precision seafood harvesting, or PSH.
You're producing a humane harvesting system so that the animals win.
According to promotional videos, it'll release small fish and land others alive and in good condition. Although they've had problems with prototypes killing small fish too, the industry says it's doing what it can to protect a valuable resource. They want to see the recreational sector do the same.
Our main issue with the snapper fishery is we want to make sure we've got an accurate understanding of what is being taken by the recreational sector. That's all we want.
He's suggesting boaties like Richard Baker and Scott McIndoe start recording their catch. But they say that's too complex and isn't necessary.
So here's a small one.
He's a baby.
They do, however, admit that their sector too is responsible for killing undersized fish.
Gut hook.
If the hook goes in too deep, for example, the chances of a fish surviving are slim.
No, we've got to stop killing small fish. I'm doing what I can. I've got my big hook, big bait, good handling, good practices, and yet every now and again I catch one. I've only caught one today, first one I've caught for some time. It doesn't feel good to let it go like that. It will not survive.
Richard and Scott say their wastage is nothing compared with that of the trawlers. But the commercial guys say they are putting things right. After all, they want to protect the fishery as much as anyone else. There's a lot riding on it. It's a $1.5 billion export industry. Greg Johansson says it's companies like Sanford's that the whole country needs to rely on.
We've been around since 1881. We're the oldest publicly listed company in New Zealand. So, looking after that fish stock and maintaining the productivity of the fisheries is absolutely key to our future. We have no other future. We don't have forestry, we don't have dairy, we have nothing else. If there's no fish, there's no business.
But that's where the two sides will never agree, because the recreational fishers say they are the future, and they drive export earnings too.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to a debate about the real value to be had from these natural resources, these publicly owned natural resources. And when we get our teeth into the economy of abundance, what a truly abundant fishery could bring to this country by way of tourism, by way of just the best place on earth to live, that'll put the commercial value in the shade.
Yeah, so despite all the disagreement, the different groups have basically been ordered or told to get around the same table and talk. The government wants all the sectors to come up with a new snapper management strategy or plan, which is October next year, I think they want to
and that's basically a plan for how to maximise the benefits for everyone, for all involved.